Hi, the name's Kalo. Welcome to the clown office. Please take a seat. Do you enjoy stories about the indomitable human spirit? 'Cause I certainly do. There is nothing like some good old human stubbornness to push through any obstacle on your way and persevere no matter how bad things look. And boy, do I have some good news for you. The other day, while browsing Twitter, my algorithm decided to randomly bless me with the indie devs hashtag, and I laid my eyes upon this one game called Felvidek. So I ended up in the creator's profile, then saw the trailer on YouTube, contacted him via Twitter, bought the game, played it, recorded it, and now here we are making a video on the matter. Now, I don't know about you, but I do love me some games with a retro aesthetic. There is something about using modern tools to recreate past media that I really like, and the visuals and soundtrack for this one really got me. Now, I'm not here to spoil you the whole game, so bear with me. In this story, you take on the role of Pavol the Knight. But don't worry, there is no princess for you to save, nor dragon to slay. If anything, your damsel, also known as your wife, left you not long ago, cause you're a drunk who spends most of his days drowning his sorrows in alcohol despite having a comfortable life in your lord's castle. But why is that? What is the source of your uneasiness? Maybe it has to do with the cold sensation you feel hovering over your neck, like a sharp blade, dangling over the pale flesh that connects your head with your body. But it's not like others would understand. How could they? And so, another lonely day passes, drinking alone in your bedchambers when you see it from the window. An explosion that just took place in the castle at the north of the land, so you set aside your bottles, grab your equipment, and go to report this to Lord Josef. Now, let's be fair. It's been like 3 days of being confined in your bedroom, doing nothing but drinking. So you look and smell like crap. It's hard to take you seriously like this, even for your lord, who recommends you to seek help from the priest. He'll have the answer to your ailments without a doubt. And because his word is law and you don't want to play tabletop games with him, you go to the little chapel at the end of the hallway. This is Matei. He's a righteous man of God. And when Matei meets Pavol and hears of his sorrows, he gives him the recipe to ease all of his pains. 10 times recite the Lord's Prayer. Might the Lord be with thee, he said, while holding his holy book close to his chest. Silly Matei, it does not work like that. If only it was that easy. But that's okay. Pavol wouldn't expect him, a celibate, to understand the intricacy of wedlock after all. He does expect him, though, to travel with him to the north, to investigate the explosion on the castle. However, the priest refuses because he's deep in his lectures. So Pavol calls upon the authority of the lord of the land to ensure the salvation of his weary soul. Which is a low blow, and causes Matei to put his book down and go to talk with your manager about this matter, just to come back a few minutes later, fully accepting his fate. Matei is a righteous man, a virtuous man, but do not let that fool you, for he is witty as a fox, and has no issue throwing hands to help you out in the fight, and takes as a personal mission to set Pavol in the sober path, cause he's just that cool of a guy. And so, the duo head towards the North Castle to investigate what happened, leaving the safety of the fort, and venturing out through dangerous paths to find a dead man. A corpse that, upon being turned, reveals a torque. But it makes no sense. How did he get here? Upon searching further within the ruins of the castle, Matei can tell there's a very heavy aura around, and then Pavol finds something small laying on the floor. A clue of what happened here indeed. An odd-looking purple bean. And this is how we take our first steps into this gem made on RPG Maker by the developers Josef and Vlado. An ambitious project that began as an idea, a concept, all the way back in 2020. From the very moment you open the game, you are received with beautiful art, and a soundtrack that announces that this won't be your usual story about knights and castles. It's cheeky, it's bold, it's brash, with dialogues and art that makes everything feel so alive, and animations that are just a pure delight for my eyes. And don't even get me started on the cinematics. When I first saw the trailer, it completely went over my head that it was made on RPG Maker. If you had told me that this was a PS1 retro-inspired JRPG, I would have believed it. It's light, easy to download, and doesn't require too much from your PC or laptop to run, which is great. Gameplay-wise, I really like the concept of tools for your character resources, rather than just having it be mana. And the fact that you can eat a whole bowl of porridge to replenish it mid-battle, it's hilarious. And speaking of food, I just want to say that sour cream is such a blessing from the heavens. Nothing like chugging on a bucket of it while fighting on holy horrors. Also, can we talk about the lovely details that went on each of these sprites? The armors look beautiful, the NPCs are rendered so nicely too, hell, even the content chicken gets one. And most importantly, you can pet the dog. Now, I managed to contact Josef through Twitter to ask him a few questions, and this is what he had to say.
Hello viewers, quick disclaimer, I am not actually Josef, I am simply going to be doing a voiceover for the answers that he gave in text. I sincerely apologize for any mispronunciation that I might have throughout this.
If you had to describe your game in one quote, what would it be?
Love letter to Slovak humor. Or alternatively, the misadventures of a drunk knight.
What are your inspirations for the project?
This differs for me and my writers, but I'll merge it for the sake of convenience. Also, I will not be stating every inspiration, as that would be at least 2 pages. Visuals. Baron Prašil from KaloTV 1962, Slovak graphic artists Theodor Schnitzer and Albin Brunovsky, old manuscripts and sacral Gothic art and architecture. Gameplay and game design. Gothic with its small and handcrafted world. Neverhood with insanely cool setting and dry humor, subversing gameplay and sometimes trolling the player. The original Fallout for being one of the greatest RPGs, and Helix with its first-person animations. Story-wise, Twin Peaks, Pasla, Konie na betonie, Nieprebudeni, Pacho, Hibisky Zbojnik, old Slovak movies, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Dano Drevo, Slovak meme culture, for example the notorious drunkard, Maestro Meliško, Pulp from Bukowski, the insane cast of Team Fortress 2, Slovak local history and legend. I could give many more examples, but this will suffice for now.
Any thoughts on your artistic progress?
My approach is to treat digital art as if it was a traditional graphical technique such as linocut, etching or engraving. Rather than have digital art imitate other forms of art, I want to get as much out of the digital look as I can get.
How does your workflow look like?
It has been very dynamic, many times being a product of a conversation between me and Vlado, the writer. As you create a game and playtest it, ideas come forth by themselves. You realize what interesting things you can put there or how a quest can be resolved in an interesting way. From that comes the need to draw and animate different assets. Then the look of the assets can give you more ideas. As I stated, fairly dynamic.
What can you tell us about the mastermind behind the game?
I'm originally from Slovakia. Currently I'm finishing my major in illustration on Sutnarka in Pilsen. Vlado, who did most of the dialogue and the majority of the story, is a Slovakian painter and poet.
How different is your game now from the original concept?
As for visuals, at first glance it does not differ that much, although I improved a lot of things. The art style is the only thing that was there from the very beginning. As for gameplay, it's 95% different now. Only some of the names stayed the same. The original pre-alpha version was like 50 minutes long and had no story whatsoever.
What is your favorite part of working on this?
There is no such feeling as pouring your entire heart and soul into a project and then see it can move people. Every time someone tells me they were moved, it makes me truly glad I made the game. In the end, all I want to do is make art for people to enjoy deeply while making enough money to do it again.
And the least favorite?
Crunch, namely having to neglect relationships and physical health.
Did you have any previous experience before this project?
Extremely little. We had a game jam on Sutnarka as part of our mandatory studies, and I made a very simple 3D platformers around 2016.
Any final thoughts on your experience working on this?
I need a lot of sleep.
Why did you choose the name Felvidek?
Slovakia used to be part of Hungary for almost 1,000 years. Although this is a great part of our history, it is demonized mostly because in the 19th century Hungarians tried very hard to repress minorities within its territory. You can imagine this did great harm to our relationship to this very day. Both languages still sometimes use the name of the other nationality to describe a dumb person. Like you say something stupid and will be scolded with Csosi Magyar. What are you, Hungarian? Hungarians have butatót, which literally translates to dumb Slovak. With this very simplified history lesson out of the way, the question arises, why use Felvidek, the 19th century Hungarian word for South Slovakia, to name a video game about a 15th century knight? Slovaks absolutely hate our history. They feel a big disconnect to it, as most important figures didn't live in our land and weren't Slovaks. The general view of it is that there was Great Moravia in 9th and 10th century, and then we suffered for a whole millennium under the oppression. This is not really the case, and although I doubt the different nationalities loved each other and there was certainly strife, they still lived among themselves in the same towns, in the same villages. I deem our medieval history extremely interesting and feel saddened that it is shunned and discarded as not our, even though Buda, capital of Hungary, was under Ottoman rule for about 150 years and a great deal of nobility moved to Slovakia. So finally, I answer your question. I named it Felvidek as an homage to our convoluted and unfortunate history, which, while it really is unfortunate, is still ours and should be cherished for it.
I honestly love to hear his input on all of this, and I couldn't agree more. It is important to cherish the stories of our land, and what better way to do it than through art? This is one of those games where you can tell that a lot of passion was put into it. And the way this story is handled not only drags you to this piece of land in northern Hungary, but also makes you feel welcome. Pavel isn't perfect, he has a lot going on, and maybe he's not going through his best moment when all of this begins, but he's a man of conviction with a duty. And most importantly, he's not alone in this adventure. Throughout your path, you'll meet all sorts of whimsical people, with whom you will work with, then depart ways, maybe meet again in the future, or maybe not. Because that's just how it goes. People come and go all the time. But the sour cream is eternal moratum. I personally enjoyed a lot the dynamic between the main characters, as well as their shenanigans, and the dialogues feel very fluent and organic. However, I would like to point out that the English handle in this game is the old type. So, unless you are familiar with it, I recommend you take your time reading the text, because it can be a bit confusing. Also, I'm sure I missed a few jokes here and there because I don't speak Slovak, so once this video is edited, I'll probably go through some of the footage using the translator in my phone to see what was all that text about. Altogether, I think this was a nice tale to cherish bits of the Slovakian history with its own original twist, and I will definitely be coming back to visit the lands of Felvidek sometime in the future. Now the question is, will you?